not define their entire life. So why do you not extend that same grace to yourself? The negative voice in your head is a liar. It tells you that you are not good enough, that you will never succeed, that everybody is judging you, and that you do not deserve good things. But that voice is not the voice of truth. It is the voice of fear. It is the voice of past trauma. It is the voice of people who hurt you and whose words you internalized. You have got to learn to talk back to that voice. When it says you are not smart enough, you tell it that you are capable of learning anything you put your mind to. When it says you are not attractive enough, you tell it that your worth is not determined by your appearance. When it says you will never make it, you tell it that you have overcome every obstacle that has ever been placed in your path. This is not about being delusional or pretending that you do not have areas where you can improve. This is about speaking to yourself with the same respect and encouragement that you would give to somebody you love. You would not let anybody else talk to your child the way you talk to yourself. So why do you allow it? Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. Notice when you are being cruel to yourself and make a conscious choice to shift that language. Replace the criticism with curiosity. Replace the judgment with compassion. Replace the hopelessness with possibility. The way you speak to yourself matters more than you realize because you are always listening. Loving yourself is not about being arrogant. It is not about thinking you are better than everybody else. Loving yourself is about recognizing that you were put on this earth for a purpose. God did not make a mistake when He created you. He does not make mistakes. Every single thing about you was designed with intention and meaning. I talk to so many people who confuse self-love with selfishness. They think that if they prioritize their own well-being, they are somehow taken away from others. But that is a lie that keeps good people small and burned out. You cannot effectively serve the people in your life if you are running on empty. You cannot be a good parent, a good partner, a good friend, or a good employee if you are depleted. There is a big difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance says I am better than everybody else. Confidence says I am valuable, and so is everybody else. Arrogance tears other people down to build itself up. Confidence lifts other people because it is secure in its own worth. You can love yourself deeply and still be the most humble person in the room. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who seem to have it all together. The ones who walk into a room and everybody notices. Those people are not walking around wondering if they belong. They are not seeking approval from every person they meet. They have settled the question of their worth in their own hearts and minds. That is the energy that self-love creates. You are not an accident. Even if your parents did not plan for you, even if you came into this world in difficult circumstances, even if you have spent your whole life feeling like you do not fit in anywhere, you were designed on purpose for a purpose. There is something that you carry inside of you that the world needs. And until you learn to love yourself, you will never fully share that gift. Your unique combination of experiences, talents, perspectives, and personality traits is unlike anybody else who has ever lived or ever will live. You are not a copy of somebody else. You are an original, and originals are always more valuable than copies. Stop trying to be a second-hand version of somebody else when you could be a first-hand version of yourself. When you truly understand your worth, you stop competing with other people and start collaborating with them. You stop seeing everybody as a threat and start seeing them as potential allies. You stop hoarding opportunities and start creating them. Self-love does not make you selfish, it makes you secure. And secure people are the most generous people in the world. When I was homeless, sleeping in my car, washing up in gas station bathrooms, I had two choices. I could have given up on myself completely. I could have let my circumstances define my identity. Or I could hold on to the belief that my situation was temporary, but my value was permanent. Your situation does not determine your worth. Your bank account does not determine your worth. Your relationship status does not determine your worth. I remember those days so clearly. I would wake up stiff and cold in the back seat of a little car that was never designed for sleeping. I would go into a gas station and try to wash up in the sink before anybody else came in. I would look at myself in that scratched up mirror and have to decide on who I was going to be that day. Was I going to be a homeless man, or was I going to be a man with a dream who just happened to be temporarily without a home? That distinction matters more than you know. Because what you call yourself becomes what you believe about yourself. And what you believe about yourself becomes what you create in your life. If I had called myself a loser, if I had called myself a failure, if I had called myself somebody who would never amount to anything, I would have lived down to that label. Instead, I kept calling myself a king who was just going through a rough season. Some of you right now are in a rough season. You are looking at your circumstances and you are letting them tell you who you are. Maybe you lost your job and now you are calling yourself unemployable. Maybe your relationship ended and now you are calling yourself unlovable. Maybe you failed at a business venture and now you are calling yourself a failure. But those circumstances are not your identity. You've got to learn to separate who you are from what you are going through. The storm does not become part of the house just because it is raging outside. The house stands firm because it knows what it is made of. It knows its foundation is solid. You have got to know what you are made of. You have got to know that your foundation is strong enough to withstand any storm that comes your way. I know people who have millions of dollars in the bank and still feel worthless. I know people who have barely enough to pay their bills but walk around with the confidence of a billionaire. The difference is not in their bank accounts. The difference is in their beliefs. The difference is in whether they have learned to love themselves regardless of their external circumstances. Your worth was established before you were born. It does not fluctuate based on your performance. It does not increase when you succeed and decrease when you fail. You are valuable because you exist. You are valuable because you were created. You are valuable because there is a divine spark inside of you that cannot be extinguished by any circumstance. Start acting like you know that. You've got to stop letting other people write your story. Your mama might have said you would be nothing. Your daddy might have walked out on you. Your ex might have told you that you were not good enough. But those are their words, not your truth. You've got to pick up the pen and start writing your own chapters. The narrative of your life is not set in stone. It is being written every single day. I have met so many people who are still living out scripts that were handed to them in childhood. Their parents told them they were stupid, so they never pursued education. Their teachers told them they would end up in jail, so they made choices that led them there. The adults in their lives spoke death over them, and they accepted those words as prophecy. But those words were lies. The people who spoke negative things over your life were speaking from their own pain, their own limitations, their own fear. When your father said you would never amount to anything, that was his brokenness talking. When your mother said you were a mistake, that was her unhealed trauma coming out of her mouth. Their words said more about them than they ever said about you. But here is the thing. Even though those words were not true when they were spoken, they became true because you believed them. You gave those words power by accepting them as fact. You built your life around limiting beliefs that were placed on you by people who did not have the right to define you. And now it is time to tear down those old structures and build something new. Pick up the pen. That is what I am telling you. Stop letting your past experiences write your future chapters. Stop letting the voices of people who are no longer even in your life dictate your decisions today. You are the author of your story now. You get to decide what happens next. You get to decide who the main character becomes. Maybe up until now, your story has been about struggle and survival. Maybe it has been about heartbreak and disappointment. Maybe it has been about fear and hiding and playing small. But you can start a new chapter today. You can write a turning point right now in this very moment. The pen is in your hand, and the page is blank, I am not saying that the past chapters do not matter. They do. They made you who you are. They taught you lessons that you needed to learn. They built strength in you that you did not know you had. But those chapters do not have to dictate the ending. Some of the best stories have dark middles and triumphant conclusions. Your conclusion has not been written yet. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to look in that mirror and say something kind to yourself. Not something fake, not something you do not believe, but find one thing that is true and positive and say it out loud. Maybe today it is just that you made it through yesterday. That is enough. That is a start. You have got to begin somewhere. I know this feels awkward at first. Standing in front of a mirror talking to yourself feels strange. You might feel silly. You might feel like it is not making a difference. But I promise you that this practice will change your life over time. The words you speak to yourself first thing in the morning set the tone for your entire day. Start small if you need to. You do not have to stand there and give yourself a motivational speech. Just say one true and kind thing. I am still here. I am doing my best. I have a good heart. I am worthy of love. Whatever feels authentic to you in that moment. The goal is not to lie to yourself. The goal is to stop only telling yourself the negative things. Most of us have no problem reciting a list of our flaws. We can tell you everything that is wrong with us in great detail. We know every mistake we have ever made. We remember every criticism anybody has ever given us. But when it comes to our strengths and positive qualities, our minds go blank. We have trained ourselves to see only the negative. This mirror practice is about retraining your brain. It is about creating new neural pathways that allow you to see yourself more completely. You are not just your flaws. You are also your gifts. You are also your victories. You are also your acts of kindness and moments of courage. You are a whole and complex person who deserves to be seen fully. Some mornings, you are not going to feel like doing this. Some mornings, you are going to look in that mirror and every negative thought is going to rush at you. Those are the mornings when this practice matters most. That is when you have to push back against the darkness and speak some light into existence. That is when you have to fight for yourself. Over time, this daily practice will become natural. You will start to believe the kind things you are saying. You will start to carry those words with you throughout the day. When someone criticizes you, you will have a bank of positive truths to draw from. When life gets hard, you will have a foundation of self-love to stand on. That is what we are building here. That is the work. Forgiveness is a big part of loving yourself. And I am not just talking about forgiving other people. I am talking about forgiving yourself. You've got to let go of that thing you did 10 years ago that still keeps you up at night. You've got to release yourself from the prison of your own making. You served your time. Now set yourself free. I carried guilt for years about things I had done wrong. I replayed my mistakes over and over in my mind like a movie I could not turn off. I punished myself daily for choices I made when I was younger and dumber and more afraid. And all that self-punishment did not change the past. It just poisoned the present. You cannot undo what has been done. I need you to really hear that. No amount of suffering now will change what happened then. The only thing your guilt is doing is preventing you from becoming the person you are meant to be. It is keeping you stuck when you could be moving forward. It is keeping you small when you could be expanding. Some of you have apologized 100 times for something, and the other person has already forgiven you, but you have not forgiven yourself. Some of you are carrying guilt over things that nobody else even remembers. Some of you are torturing yourself over mistakes that taught you lessons you desperately needed to learn. When is enough enough? Forgiving yourself does not mean pretending that you did not do wrong. It does not mean avoiding accountability. It means acknowledging what happened, understanding why it happened, learning from it, making amends where possible, and then releasing yourself from the cycle of shame. It means saying, I made a mistake, but I am not a mistake. Think about how you would treat a friend who came to you carrying this kind of guilt. You would probably tell them that everybody makes mistakes. You would remind them of all the good they have done. You would help them see that one chapter does not define the whole book. You would encourage them to forgive themselves and move forward. Be that friend to yourself. The freedom that comes from self-forgiveness is unlike anything else. It is like putting down a weight you did not even realize you were carrying. It is like taking a deep breath for the first time in years. It is like walking out of a dark room and into the sunlight. You deserve that freedom. You have earned that freedom. Now you just have to claim it. The people who are supposed to be in your life will celebrate you, not tolerate you. If you are constantly around people who make you feel small, who make you question your worth, who drain your energy, then you are not loving yourself. Loving yourself means having the courage to walk away from what is not serving you, even when it is scary, even when it is lonely. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I spent years keeping people in my life who did not deserve to be there. I held on to one-sided friendships. I stayed in situations where I was constantly disrespected. I thought that being loyal meant putting up with mistreatment. But that is not loyalty. That is self-abandonment. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. If you accept being disrespected, people will disrespect you. If you accept being taken for granted, people will take you for granted. If you accept being the last priority, people will put you last. The standards you set for yourself become the standards that others follow. Some of you are so afraid of being alone that you would rather be in bad company. You would rather have people around who hurt you than have no people at all. But I am here to tell you that being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Being surrounded by people who make you feel alone is much worse. When you start to truly love yourself, some people are not going to like it. They were comfortable with the old you who said yes to everything, the old you who puts everybody else first, the old you who never demanded respect. When you change, they're going to push back. They're going to call you different, stuck up, too good for them now. Let them talk. Let them walk away. Let them show you who they really were all along. The people who truly love you will celebrate your growth. They will adjust to your new boundaries. They will rise to meet the new standard you have set. And if they do not, then they were never really your people in the first place. I would rather have a small circle of people who genuinely support me than a large crowd of people who secretly hope I fail. Quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. The right people will add to your life. They will encourage your dreams. They will call you out when you are wrong, but also remind you of who you are when you forget. Those are your people. Hold on to them and let go of everyone else. I need you to understand that comparison is the thief of joy. You are scrolling through your phone, looking at everybody else's life and feeling bad about your own. But you are comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. That person you are envying has struggles you know nothing about. Run your own race. Social media has made comparison easier than ever before. With just a few swipes, you can see hundreds of people who seem to be living better lives than you. Better vacations, better bodies, better relations, better careers. And every time you look at their curated images, a little piece of your self-esteem chips away. But here is what you need to understand. Those pictures are not real life. They are the best moments captured at the perfect angle with the right filter. You are not seeing the fights that happened before the happy couple photo. You are not seeing the debt behind the luxury vacation. You are not seeing the emptiness behind the perfect smile. Everybody's fighting battles that they do not post about. Everybody has insecurities they hide. Everybody has moments when they feel like a failure. The difference is that you know all of your own struggles intimately, while you only see the surface of everybody else. Of course, you feel like you do not measure up. You are comparing your unedited truth to their edited fiction. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you becoming more of who you were created to be? That is the only measurement that matters. If you are a little bit better today than you were yesterday, you are winning. Forget what everybody else is doing. I had to delete social media apps from my phone for a while because they were messing with my mental health. I found myself feeling envious of people I did not even know. I was questioning my own success because somebody else seemed to be doing better. And I realized that I was letting a tiny screen steal my peace and joy. You've got to protect your mind. You've got to be intentional about what you allow into your thoughts. If following certain people makes you feel bad about yourself, unfollow them. If certain apps steal your peace,